I think we're live. Let's see. Looks like everything is good. Welcome. Today I'm going to be working in Inktense. I'm going to be using my Inktense blocks and the Inktense pencils for the background. Just for transparency, this set of Inktense was provided to me by Derwent. Oh, I don't have them over here, my one where I've done the cover on the art. So if you didn't know this, the cover of the current set of Inktense, both the blocks and the pencils have my art on it. The one with the sea turtle and the one with the dolphin. So quick little brag there. It's like one of the high points of my career for sure. I don't think I'm ever not going to be excited about that. I should have brought them in here to show you guys, but I didn't. You can look them up on Amazon. So today I'm going to be using the blocks, and I use my blocks very much like I would a watercolor pan where I add water. I don't typically take the blocks, with few exceptions. I don't typically use the blocks myself directly on the paper. It's going to give you a more rough, kind of grainy, gritty look. What I'm going to do by painting on like they were watercolor blocks, I'll be able to get this really nice, smooth, almost watercolor type feel. So the first thing I need to do, you can see these little sections in here. This is where I'm going to be mixing my Inktense. However, they are filthy, so I probably should have washed those off before we started. But the good news is, let's see, audio's live, video. Okay, we're good. Thanks, Joseph. I can just take this, add water, and this is all going to come out. Because it's plastic, it doesn't dry permanent. So it'll be permanent on paper. You can paint it on clothes. Some people will do that, like fabric painting with Inktense. I've never tried that myself. I don't know how well that'll work. I mean, I'm guessing it works. People do it all the time. Not really my thing. I mean, I paint my clothes more accidentally than intentionally. So we're just gonna wipe that out. And now I've got a semi-clean spot. I don't need it to be perfectly clean because I do want this background to be pretty dark. Now, if you have not already gotten the reference photo, you can pick this up over at Patreon. I found it on Pixabay, but I went ahead and I've got it cropped like this. You can get that over at Patreon, patreon.com/Lachri. You do not have to be a member to grab that photo. So that's open to everybody. Go ahead and wipe more of that out. Wow, those had a lot of ink in there. Okay, so let's put this off to the side. Mouse Potato 69 said, "Hey Lisa, wow, you got some sun, holy lobster tails." Well, I'm not burned. I actually, believe it or not, as pale as I am, tend to tan and not burn. Well, I can burn too, but it'll turn into a tan. So yeah, it's just from doing yard work. I hate the sun, I avoid it, but I've been having fun out in the backyard. So I'm gonna need to get one of those big sun hats, I think, or sunblock. Either way, I've got to do something because I'm getting way more tan than my makeup is going to, and I don't want to buy new makeup just because I spent too much time pretending I wasn't a vampire. Let's see. Boots and Diamond, Painting and Art Mama, your name is so long. Said, did you hear that Karen Dosh will be adding to their Luminance line? Yeah, you guys have been telling me that. That's really cool. I actually just didn't talk to her. I got the email from my contact, or one of my contacts at Derwent. They're sending me the extra 28 set of Luminance. Or not Luminance, why would they send me that? The Derwent Light Fast, I'm excited to get those. It's L'Oreal said, watercolor is not my medium, but I'm excited to paint along with acrylic. Absolutely, and these are not watercolor, just to be clear. These are Inktense, it's water-soluble ink, which is really cool. It's different in the sense that, like with watercolor, if I can lift things off the canvas. Because it's watercolor, it lifts. Whereas the Inktense, once it dries, you can glaze over it more like you would with acrylics. So this is kind of takes my favorite aspects of watercolor and my favorite aspects of acrylics and mixes them into one medium, which I really like. Let's see. Sarah said, I almost missed this live stream because I honestly thought today was Tuesday. Anyway, we don't own any... If we don't own any Inktense, can this project be done with watercolor or something else? Watercolor is going to probably be the closest, but you could do acrylics too. I mean, really whatever you want to go with. Because like always, we're really focusing a lot on our values, and that's going to be the same no matter what medium you work in. Leonardo Fine Art said, I painted the waterfall with acrylic. Nice. That's cool. Baby Pandas said, hi Lisa, on Friday, besides the paint, what supplies will we need, brushes, etc., and can we use watercolor paper if we don't have a canvas board? You don't have a canvas board or canvas for Friday's paint along, and you're going to use watercolor paper, just gesso it first. As long as you've got a coat of gesso, you'll be fine. And yeah, bring whatever brushes. You guys know I'm not that picky on brushes. So bring whatever brushes you've got, and yeah, obviously a container for water, paper towel, or old rag, whatever you want to go with, and you should be good. Boots and Diamond Painting and Art Mama said, just call me Jill. That's my real name. Now if I remember that, I can't remember my own name. I wish I could. That would be way easier. Heather said, I have to reorder my first Derwent Light Fast. It's Nightshade. Oh yeah, Nightshade. Nightshade and is it Violet, I think? I go through like crazy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now I've drawn this out with a water-soluble graphite pencil, and then I went around the edges with normal graphite because I actually don't want to lose those lines, and that's up against a dark background, so my graphite should pretty well be hidden. But I used water-soluble graphite in here because with the pinks and the white, the light colors here, that way with being it's water-soluble, once I add water, it's going to blend out and I won't have heavy gray lines up against something that should be pink. If you did use a regular graphite pencil, that's okay. Just use your darker pinks to kind of hide it as much as you can. I'm going to go ahead and add some water all over. Oh, my brush has the dark background on it. I guess it's fine. It lets you see where I've added water, but I'm going to go ahead and get that background wet first. And this is going to make it easier for me to get a smooth coverage when I go over with the Inktense. So I'm going to work kind of fast here so I can get this. Now, this would ideally be better to work flat. Just like with watercolor, I would typically rather work flat, but because of, just for filming purposes and my back doesn't allow me to work flat, I'm upright at an easel. So I'm going to be more prone to stuff like this where it runs. Anywhere where it runs, when I paint the background color, may bleed a little onto the flower. If it does, it's not the end of the world. I'll use my white Inktense block to fill it in or kind of cover that up. So it's okay, but as much as I can avoid it, I will. If I were working flat, really wouldn't be such a big deal. I could easily keep that from bleeding or running if it were laying flat. So just a little tip there. But like I said, between my back and just the way I'm set up to film, this is what we're working with. I'm not gonna worry about the stem. I can paint that in later. Okay, I'm gonna grab some green. I'm gonna go with more of an olive green than the bright green on there, or on the reference photo, and see how I'm just going to add water, make a little bit of a mixture there. It's mixing in with the purple there, which is perfect because it gives me more of that muddy color I'm kind of going for. Add some more water. Now, the more water you add, the lighter your color is going to be. The thicker it is, like see how I keep mixing more and more of that green in there? The thicker it is, then the more opaque it'll be. So I'm going to paint that on quickly before it dries, and then I'll take a hairdryer. I'll do this in a couple of layers to get this to look how I want. And I'm trying to stay pretty well, within the lines or outside, I guess in this case, outside the lines. But if it bleeds in, like I said, not a huge deal. So don't panic if something goes wrong. If you're painting flat, you're less likely to have it bleed where you don't want it. And I am working on Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140-pound watercolor paper. Not my favorite for wet media like this. It works so bad. Even when I've stretched it, it's still just, it's not my favorite anymore. And I didn't used to need to stretch it. But it's just not my favorite. I didn't stretch it today. I was too lazy for that. But it's not my favorite for wet media anymore. I definitely prefer the arches. I find it holds its shape a lot better, whether stretched or not. So we're going to go through there. And this will get me at least a base layer. And I'm using a Taklon bristled filbert. It's actually, I think, listed as an oval wash, but it's essentially a Taklon bristled filbert. Okay. Now, while that's still wet, I'm going to grab my black. Actually, I think I'm going to use purple instead. Do I have a deep purple in here? Let's see. That one will work. So I'm going to go ahead and add a second really dark color. It's almost black, not quite. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in a few places so that I can start getting this kind of blotchy look. And see how mine is running? Actually looks pretty cool. But if you're flat, you're not going to be fighting that if that is something that you didn't want the look of. Oops, got a little crazy. And I'm just going to fill that in. I'm going to try to do the background pretty quickly because I want to get onto the flower tonight. We've got a lot of work to do. And if my petals aren't shaped perfect, it really does not matter. No one is going to know the difference but you guys because you've seen the reference photo. So I'm going to take a mop brush and just soften that out a bit, just so I get that nice soft look. Now keep in mind with the mop brush, I am removing some of that pigment, so it will lighten it up a bit, but it also softens it. So we'll do this. I was going to do it in 2 layers. Let's see what it looks like when it's dry. I'll probably put 1 more layer on it to get the opacity where I want it. So let's take a hairdryer to that. Set for a second, and then I'm going to put another coat on there. I'll get caught up on some questions in the meantime. Tamara said, hi, painting along in acrylics, taking a break from the large ocean beast. I saw that. It's looking really good. Thanks for sharing your time. Thanks for joining. My room is groaning again for like the 3rd time today. I'm not sure why. Maybe he knows that someone over there is shedding like crazy. Let's see. Leonardo said, can you make a tutorial about the oil pastels? Probably not. I don't even own any oil pastels at this point. I have not used them in so long. I don't even have them. Carla said, I want a 12 set of Inktense so I can get creative. Nice. And these, the cool thing with Inktense, like I, of course, and you guys know this if you've been around for very long with colored pencils, with watercolor pencils, with whatever, I want all the colors, but realistically, you don't need them. You can blend so much from just the set of 12. I think the set of 12 does not have the white, if I'm remembering correctly. If it doesn't, I would pick that up individually, or the white Inktense block. But you can mix so much from these. It's really cool. Let's see. Melissa said, so happy to join another live stream. Do you use watercolor brushes with Inktense blocks or does it change your technique? I'm using technically acrylic brushes or brushes that I would use for acrylic painting with these. For the most part, I think all of these are tack bristled brushes. So what I would generally use with acrylics. For most of them. I've got a few random other ones, but that's mostly what I'm using. Have I tried flow acrylics? They dry in a matte finish. Excuse me, I have not. I mean, besides airbrush, the high flow Goldens airbrush ones are the only ones. Hi, Shiny. Brett said, Derwent now sells Inktense paper. Haven't tried it yet, but thought you might want to check it out. Yeah, I do need to check that out. I'm afraid I'm not going to like it though, and I don't want to give it a bad review because I'm definitely partial, and I'm not going to lie about this. I have definitely gotten to the point where I am partial. I love Derwent. I love the company, and I'm like, oh, I'm so picky about paper. I don't like it. Maybe I just won't use it and find out. That's a stupid reason not to use something. At least I'm honest. Let's see. Can I shave the pencils and use them like blocks? Yes, you can. I've done that. And actually, Derwent sells something that looks kind of like this. It's a little container that you can grind the pencil, and it goes in the bottom. You just fill the shavings. You just add water, and then you can use them that way too. But yes, absolutely. Let's see. Sheila said, did you say you can use these inks under acrylic paints or with them as like glazes? Oh, I wouldn't use them with them. I don't really see any reason to do mixed media with this and acrylics when I can do everything with this or everything with acrylics. But it's similar in glazing that it's going to allow you to I'm going to have to hold on. I'm going to mute this for a second so I don't wake all of your Amazon devices up because I need to make Roomba stop running. There we go.
I will send Mr. Belvedere home.
She's sending Mr. Belvedere home for me. Okay, sorry. That was getting really distracting right outside my door and it keeps running into it. But I guess you could use it as an underpainting to acrylics, but I genuinely don't know why you would. Like, I don't see any benefit, so I wouldn't. Let's see. Can I okay, got that one. Okay, we're caught up. So I'm going to go ahead and do another layer over this. And actually I should dry that mop brush before. He's not ready to go. Probably that one's too wet. I'll have to switch to another one. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat the same thing. And if you want, like in the photo, we've got more of a turquoisey teal color up there. You can add it. I'm probably not going to bother. I'm just going for, I just want dark is all I'm really going for here. So I'm going to use the same green. Add a bunch of water to it. Actually, before I mix that, well, I guess I can go ahead and mix it and then I need to wet the canvas again. So I'm going to do the same thing, add water, and see, this is the difference between acrylics, or not acrylics, between Inktense and watercolor. If I went over watercolor, I would be lifting this, but because I'm going over Inktense, it's staying put. Now, you will find if you have used pencil straight on the paper, or if you've used the Inktense block straight on the paper, like taking the block on the paper, not mixed it separately, you're going to be more likely to have these colors lift. So do be aware of that. Because it doesn't activate all of it, but because I mixed it separately, all of that was thinned or diluted with water. It was all activated, and so now when I go over it, you can see it's not budging. It just stays in place. So that will be different for those of you working with watercolor. So same thing, just going to go over this with the green. And I can repeat this process as many times as I want just to build up the opacity to, or make it really dark. You're pretty unlimited with this. I mean, it's not like when you work with colored pencil where you hit a point on watercolor paper where it just won't take more layers. Not the case when you're painting on it like this. And I find the additional layers, it's a little bit easier to go fast because I've pretty much outlined everything already. And so if I miss a spot, you don't really notice it like you would up against the white of the paper. Grab some of that purple. I'm not even rinsing the grain off my brush. I'm totally fine with this turning into an absolute muddy mess. Trying to get that really dark. Now, the reason that I'm trying to get this background so dark is the darker this is, the brighter my brights and my whites on the flower are going to be. He'll look like the flower will look like he's glowing so much more than if I just, let's say I had a light background, a white background or whatever. I can make the values the exact same, but as soon as you are up against that white of the paper, the lights don't feel as light. But because I'm going to be up against these darks, my brights are going to look brighter than they are, or brighter because of it, because of that contrast. So that's why I really am working towards getting this dark, dark background. So I'm going to do the same thing. I will take the mop brush, clean one, and let's just fan that out a bit. That is just giving me that nice soft feel. I'm going to go ahead and take the hairdryer to that again. So those of you with headphones, you've been warned. I didn't warn you last time. Sorry. Okay, let's dry that before areas start to run too much. going to adjust the settings really quick because we are having, now that the light, it's gotten darker outside, it's all kinds of messed up. So let me go ahead and change the settings on this really quick. So hopefully it's a bit more accurate to what I'm seeing here. It's a bit too dark. Let's see. It's probably too bright. Just a second, I know this is boring. I'm trying to make that a bit closer to what I'm seeing. Problem is when I brighten it too much, it just kind of washes it out instead of, we'll try that. I'm not a huge fan of this webcam at all. Well, and plus the lighting that I use is amazing. It's really bright. It looks great in person. It washes everything out really badly on the camera, so that looks pretty close. So we'll see how it goes as we start on the flower. So yeah, Daniela said, I find your use of different mediums so inspirational. I've only ever used acrylic paints. Looking forward to trying colored pencils. What pencils would you recommend for a beginner? Always go with, I would recommend get a small set of good pencils versus a huge set of crap pencils. So I recommend either Faber-Castell Polychromos, the Caran d'Ache Luminance, or the Derwent Lightfast are my three. Any of those sets you're going to be perfectly happy with. But get just, and you can buy the individual pencils and just add to it as you want or as you're ready. But get, like, you know, a small set of 12 is really enough to get you started. But any of those three will be good for you. Let's see. Carla said, no, there is no white in the 12 piece set, but I will wing it and get one later. I'm using the water brush pen from Pentel. Fun. Yeah, I like the water brushes. I've got two of them over here. So when I switch over to using the pencils, this is what I end up going with. Let's see. Miriam said, hi Lisa and everyone, can you use your Derwent Inktense pencils for this? Sorry if someone already asked. Yes, you absolutely can. What I do if I'm going to paint a background like this and not just put the pencil straight on it is take a like a piece of sandpaper or anything really, any paper, and scribble on it, and then I can lift it, mix water in with it and lift that to apply to the canvas or paper, not canvas. The other thing you can do is Derwent sells, I mean obviously this is not going to work for you right now, but Derwent sells something like this. It's a little grater that you can grate the pencils on, and it'll give you the shadings in the bottom, and then you can add water to that and paint directly on. Or, I mean, you can use the pencil straight on the paper. You're just going to get slightly different results than us. I mean, that works too. There's a million different ways to get to pretty much the same end. Let's see. Permanent Rose said, are the Inktense and Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils similar? I've had those once. I heard once those dry, it doesn't move like Inktense. That was not my experience. I have their watercolor pencils and I love them, but my experience was definitely not that they're still a watercolor pencil. Maybe they don't move as much as other stuff, I'm not sure, but they're not permanent like Inktenses. There's definitely a difference there. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're different mediums. One's watercolor, one is ink. So I did not experience it not moving. I was able to lift it where I can't with these. Let's see. Can I get the same effects with watercolor and watercolor pencils? You can get something very, very similar. You're just not going, like the way that I will line things out, which is what we're going to do next on the flower, you're not going to do that with watercolor. Well, actually, no, you really wouldn't. You would do your base layer first. So those of you with watercolor, when the flower, you can see how it's got, if you've got that reference photo, again, patreon.com/Lachri. You do not have to be a member or pay anything to get it. It's just listed. That's where I posted it. But if you've got that pink that fades down to the white with watercolor, I would do that background fade first. With Inktense, because it's going to be permanent, I'm going to do the details and the lines first. So that is a difference in the order that you would do things. Where were we? Just because if you were to do the lines first, they would lift when you did the background. So do the background, that base pink first, the pink that fades into the white. Where are we? Scroll too far, get caught up on some questions before we start on the flower. Have I tried the Winsor & Newton colored pencils? I've not. I'm definitely interested. Maya said, how do you get light red in acrylics? I'm trying to get red and not pink, but I'm not having much success. So there's no light red. Light red is pink. That's what light red is. Now, if you mean bright red, the way that I'd have to see the photo of what you're trying to accomplish. But usually the way that I do that is with yellows and oranges, but keeping it very bright. Now, let's say you're painting red over a background like this. The background is too dark and your reds are typically going to be more translucent. So the background is going to show through and you're not going to get bright red. So I would paint white and then red on top of it and you'll get that bright vivid red. But light red, that's pink. I mean, that's what that is. So I'm not sure, like I'd have to see what you're trying to mix to see, but if you want, you can post over either in our MeWeave group or our Facebook group, the color you're trying to mix, and there are artists over there that will help you out and tell you exactly like the best way to do that or how they would tackle that. So that would be more helpful without seeing it. It's hard to know for sure what you mean. Heather said, I had to go on eBay for the Shave and Save, paid $14, but it will be well worth the help. It provides with my Inktense pencils, so thank you. Well, congratulations. I don't even have one yet. I need to ask Derwent for one. Heather said, oh, I got that one, excuse me. Let's see. Emily said, I'm working on a colored pencil piece of a rose using a Zorn palette color scheme right now. Having fun watching the live stream. Nice. Dawn said, what is the black tape and how are Inktense different than watercolors? The black tape, it's a pH, do I have it over here? It's a pH neutral tape. Oh, I do have it here. You can see the inside of it. It's called listed as Pro Artist Tape. I either got this one from Dick Blick or Amazon. I think I bought it at both places. There you go. You can kind of see the inside, but it's pH neutral. So it's not, it's going to keep my paper is still archival. Like I'm not going to discolor the work because of the tape. So that's what the tape is, and it's a masking tape. What was the other question? How are Inktense different than watercolors? Watercolors, once this is on here, if I added water, I could lift a lot of that color and expose more of the white of the paper. I may not get it back to the white of the paper, but I can lift that color and make it fade. With Inktense, it's permanent. So if I add water, it's not going to really do anything. This stays put. It's permanent. So that's your main difference. Inktense is ink, whereas watercolor is watercolor. They're two completely different mediums. Oops, did I scroll too far? No, I didn't. Okay, Brent Does Art said, I have a palette made by Caran d'Ache that's made especially for water-soluble pencils. It has a rough surface to scrape the pencil on. Oh, I need to look into that. That sounds kind of amazing. Oh my gosh. I need this in my life. I definitely have to look for that. And unless I screwed it up, both MeWe and Facebook groups should be listed in the video description. But I've been so tired lately. I've been behind on a lot of work and I'm trying to get caught up on everything. All the Patreon postcards are almost ready for the last 3 months to go out. I'm just trying to get caught up and working way later than normal and half asleep. So I keep putting wrong dates on stuff and screwing. So I could have just screwed it up completely. It's entirely possible. Okay. Next, we are going to start on the flowers. So I'm done with these. I'm going to just set that to the side to dry. And when I do this and make it all wet and have ink, like right now that's kind of dissolving into there, I'm going to just set this off to a dry area. I don't want to leave it sitting in the water because it'll keep dissolving into it until the water dries up. So I'm just going to leave that off to the side to dry just how it is. We'll go ahead and put these, I guess I can put them over here. Now I'm going to take this deeper violet color and let's see what brushes I have. I'll use one of these little liners, I think. I'm not sure which one I want to go with. Let's start with this one. So I'm using Taklon brushes, they are synthetic synthetic hog-haired liner brushes. These ones are Master's Touches. They're the generic from Hobby Lobby. They are definitely my favorite, like as far as liner brushes, these are my go-to. I need to find something, an alternative for you guys as far as what's available online. But unfortunately, hold on, let me fix some of these settings again. This little light keeps changing. This also keeps changing. I don't know if that helps. It makes it weirder. And what was the other one I needed to change? At least this looks good. The colors all look pretty accurate there. It's the board keeps, actually that's pretty close. I'll double check it in a few minutes. Okay. So next, what I'm going to do is dip my brush in the water, and the same thing I did before. I'm going to make this mixture, and I already have the violet in there, so I don't have to make a whole lot of it. I can just get this wet and it'll mix in with it. Actually, that may be a bit dark. Maybe I'll go with a brighter pink. You can just mix it in with that. Yeah, I think this is going to be better for me. I can't tell you what color they are because it's hard to read. Like, they're just the numbers, and I've mostly blended those out after this many years. But so I'm going to take that and I'm going to start lining the petals. Now where that needs to fade out, I'm going to just grab my brush, my water brush, and kind of pull that down as much as I can. So I get a soft transition there. Thanks, Blue Tea Art. She said, have tea on me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Nancy said, a plastic white cutting board will work the same as Caran d'Ache board. Interesting. That makes sense. And I have some that probably need to be thrown out because they've been used for so long and they're all messed up. Can pencils get salmonella? Because that's what that cutting board previously was used for, like chicken and stuff. So, that's a good tip. Troy said, I went to Hobby Lobby for the first time here in Maine, and oh my god, it was amazing. Thank you so much for recommending this story. Oh yeah, that story, you can be lost in there for hours. Shaz said, I thought I was in the Facebook group, but just went over, and I wasn't, so I just joined Mimi on the weekend. Oh, and I don't know if the person who signed up was. So if you are a patron for the group challenges, the $9 or more a month, the group challenge on MeWe, I completely screwed up today. I went to hit accept and declined somebody that should have been accepted into the group, but before I caught who it was. So I declined someone from the Patreon MeWe group, and I apologize. And if you were declined, just go ahead and apply again because I'm dumb. And apparently a little overzealous with that button. So we're just gonna go through and clean up these edges. Let's see. Where were we? I lost my... Neek said, thanks for your advice. I decided to take a step back to see what I enjoy to inform my artwork. I feel stuck though. Hard to make structure. Any advice? Step back to see what I would enjoy to inform my artwork. I'm not sure what you're asking. I think I need more info. I think I'm too far asleep to understand that, and I apologize. Miriam said, I heard some of the Hobby Lobbies opening back up for certain hours. Oh, good, because I need brushes. There are definitely a few things that I need to head over to Hobby Lobby for when they open back up. Jerry said, just thought I would mention that Hobby Lobby has a website that you can order their generic brushes on the website now? They didn't used to be. Oh, that is good to know. Thank you. Let's see. Caran d'Ache Nail Color 2 are great to make watercolor backgrounds faster than watercolor pencils. Interesting. How are the light fast ratings on those compared to their watercolor brushes? Let's need more water on that. I mean, they're watercolor pencils. God, I'm tired. There's a petal that's here on the reference photo. I left that out. I just thought it looked kind of weird for mine, so that is not going to be in this one. So why I'm doing this versus shading in the flower first. This helps me keep track of what my lines are, and I don't have to redraw them in later. So it just makes it easier for me to keep where everything is going to go. Now, normally you might not need outlines for everything, but this guy has them. Let's see, Ariel said, is there a trick to getting the tape to stay flat? I have the same tape as you, but the water and hairdryer always lifts mine from the paper slightly. Doesn't seem to happen to anyone else. Oh, hold on. My power is... I didn't realize I didn't plug the computer back in after the thunderstorm recently. 1 second. I don't want to lose you guys. There we go. We've got power. Thanks, Tamara. Tamara said, I wonder how much you charge per hour. LL, something you love. Now back to painting. Ariel said, is there getting the tape to lie flat? Oh, mine is lifting a little bit over here. I just push it back down. It's not, I don't have too big of a problem. I wonder if it's lifting from the paper, it may be a difference of the type of paper that you're using. That can certainly do it. Oh, wow, my computer screen just lightened up a whole lot now that it has power. Whoops. We had huge thunderstorms last week, so I had to unplug everything. So just in case, even though they're all in power surge things, I've had stuff still fry anyway. So, you know, we'll be careful. But yeah, I mean, here, I don't typically have a problem here along the edge. I'm guessing it's a difference of the paper, or the tape just isn't that tacky. There's blue tape that I've used before. I have some around here, and I'll get one batch of it, same brand, same everything, and it'll be super tacky, and I'll get another batch and it won't grip to anything. Like I have some now that is absolutely worthless. It doesn't, I don't know what it would be for. It doesn't stick to anything. So like at all, it just falls off. Like it's absolutely terrible. So I don't know if that's like part of the problem there. I'm really not sure. But when it does lift, I just push it back down. Whoops, where were we? Nick said, trying to enjoy nature and other visuals that would inspire me to paint. Oh, now I see what you're saying. I'm not doing enough though. I need structure. Sorry for the confusion. I'm out of it as well. I mean, you can try our group challenges. That can give you something just to get you going on something to work on. Painting something, like while I say painting something that interests you is obviously better for learning, also painting anything is better than nothing. Like just paint, just anything. The more you paint, the faster you're going to learn and get better, which I think all in itself can be encouraging when you start seeing improvements in your work. So that may be the thing too. I mean, it's important to find things that inspire you, but you have to get out. You have to actually sit at the easel too. If you're spending too much time looking for inspiration and not enough time at the easel, you're not doing yourself any favors either. So I would say at that point, just pick up a brush and start painting. Paint anything. If it's a banana, it's a banana. If it's an orange, it's anything. Just start painting anything. When you spend too much time looking for inspiration, you can't, you're still not improving. Oh, so thank you guys so much for the super chats. I get all like, I find myself sometimes being a jerk and kind of like ignoring it because I get all teary and weepy and I'm like, I'm gonna cry when people give me those. And so I'm like trying not to cry and get all girly. I don't know why that does that to me. It's like when someone gives me a present and I get all excited. So I'm a dork. So either way, when someone super chats me, I just get weird. One way or another, I'm weird. Let's see. Most of the Neocolor I have 2 or 3 stars. Only 12 of them have 1 star. They are crayons, so they're faster to apply. I think they're fun. That's cool. I've seen them used. I've not tried them myself yet, though. Okay, let's go ahead and line these really quick. Pedro said, hi Lisa, when I try using my Inktense blocks, I feel like they are never dark enough. Even the black looks like a dark gray. Have you ever experienced the same with yours? Absolutely. More layers. Keep layering, and then the pencils, when I go over, like if I want something really dark, I go over that with my pencil. My pencil will get it even, like definitely darkens things up. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But more and more layers. Like you see this background, that background took me 2 layers to get it this dark. And if I wanted darker than this, I could put another layer or 2, but if I really wanted that true rich color, I'm gonna get that with my pencils. Now, one of the things though you wanna keep in mind with Inktense, it dries very, very flat. So depending on the lighting that you have it in, like with here under these bright lights, it looks very dull. That's kind of the nature of flat paint, but the thing that's cool, well, it's ink, not paint, but the thing that's cool is it photographs so well because of it, and that's one of my favorite things about Inktense. So Inktense, they're not super light fast. Some of them are not, and so I don't use them on work that I'm going to sell. but it's still worth it for me to use them for stuff that I can make prints of, and it photographs so well, like so well. So there's, you know, always pros and cons to everything. And the con obviously is that it is harder to get it to look really deep and dark. The pro is, oh my gosh, these things photograph beautifully and very accurately, where that can be a challenge when you're working with a medium, like let's say acrylics or oils that might have a bit more of a gloss to them. It's a lot harder to get them to be as rich or to get the colors not to have, well, the colors to have the right saturation and not have the glare, I guess is where I'm going at. Sorry, I can't multitask apparently. So once this is all on there, we will go ahead and dry it, and we can start in on the background layers. And then we can come back through, and I'll use the pencils for a lot of the lines. Okay, let's go ahead and just keeping everything in there. Now, anywhere where I've got like muddy lines and such in there that I don't want, I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in now with the Inktense block. And so I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with everything else, just mixing it in with white, but a whole lot of white. I want this to be really opaque. I don't want tons and tons of water because I want it to dry as opaque as possible. So if you want it to be more opaque, less water. You know, really mix that in, like I'm still mixing it in to get almost like a paste. And I can tone that down a whole lot. And I can add as many layers as I need to cover it, but this will help mute that a bit. Tamara said, oh, I went too far. Tamara said, you do so much for all of us artists. You deserve recognition, be it monetary or otherwise. You liberate so many. Thank you so much. Oh, see, now I'm going to go, you're just, stop it. I'm trying not to be all teary and weepy girly. Thank you. Let's see. Artist said, oh, that scrolled. Oh, we jumped down to Carla. Thanks, Carla, for the super chat. Carla said, Lisa, you're so amazing as a teacher and your worth is priceless. The past several years have taught me so much from your teaching. We love you. Stop trying to make me cry. My God. Thank you, guys. You are so sweet. Okay. Stop cheering up, scrolling up. I have too many things in my hand. I can't even fan my face. Artist said, can I ask about painting? Sure. I have nothing to go on from there. Ask what you like. Richard said, have you tried the Winsor & Newton colored pencils? I have not. Oh, here we go. Artist said, and what is the best acrylic paint? I can't say what the best acrylic paint is. It's going to depend on you. For me, more often than not, the best for my techniques is Liquitex Basics. And I know that sounds crazy. People are like, oh, those are cheap. Yeah, and they're amazing. And most of them are light fast, and they work really well for my techniques. So for me, that is what I typically go with. But if I were going to do like an acrylic pour, I like Liquitex Soft Body. If I want to paint something with more of an impressionistic brush style, then the Liquitex Heavy Body is amazing. Obviously, as you can tell, I use a lot of Liquitex. Golden's is also a great acrylic paint. So those would be the two brands. Anything from either you're good with, but it depends which one you go with on what technique you're trying to accomplish. That's going to make a big difference. So with me, with acrylics, I do a lot of glazing, and so a more translucent paint, one that's the pigment is a little bit more thinned out, works really well, and that's where I just love the Liquitex Basics. But, you know, it really depends on what your goals are and what type of painting that you're trying to do. It's kind of like canvases. While I like smooth canvases, sometimes, depending on the style you're doing, you're going to want something that has more tooth to it. So, I don't know if that helps. Whoops. Hold on. Chat seemed to get totally stuck. Oh, we had mashed potato. I'm not gonna cry. It's not, no. Thank you, Mouse Potato, for the super chat. So this is a show some love as well. Have followed you for years. Love your work, Lisa. Nice job. Thank you. And I love your name. I don't know what Mouse Potato means, but it always makes me laugh. Okay, eyes, clear up so I can read. Sheila said, do you preserve Inktense work with anything like a spray fixative? Yeah. So the one that I had hung, and I gave it to a friend when we moved because he loved the red panda. He had been asking me for that one for years. I had it on my own wall because I was kind of using it to test, like, okay, well, the stuff I use to keep it from fading, really keep it from fading, because everyone talks about Inktense fading super, super fast. So I put a UV spray on it, and then I put it behind UV protecting glass, and it didn't fade at all. It was in an extremely bright room, indirect, so not direct light. And all I'm doing with the white right now, if you guys wondered, is covering up where I made a mess on the edges, so that when I put the pink on, the pink will show up, and I'm just making my little ink mixture here. But yeah, you can. If I were going to hang any of it, I would use definitely a UV protecting spray. And I want to say I used one by Krylon, but there's probably better than that. That's just what I happened to have at the time. Where were we? Monica said, I finally painted my cats, doubled down, and bought some paper and watercolors to paint. Just needs to frame them now. Nice. They're the nicest watercolor paintings I've ever done. That is awesome. Congratulations. Whoops, where were we? Carol said, hi Lisa, I am a newbie with watercolor media. What would you recommend to start with for watercolor? Would you go straight to Inktense? I was not super successful with watercolor in the first place. That was years and years and years ago. But then I got really interested in Inktense. I tried them once out of a Smart Art box. I really liked them. And then Derwent contacted me after my not liking the color soft, and they sent me these when they saw I was interested in them, and I just fell in love. I just love, because I can layer more like how I would layer with acrylics, which is what my primary medium had been for so many years. These made more sense to me. Now that I've gotten comfortable with these, watercolor, it kind of like made it easier for me. Now I can use watercolor fairly confidently. So I think Inktense are easier, at least for me, but you've got to keep in mind I'm coming from an acrylic background where acrylics made more sense than watercolor, because watercolor, the way that you layer is very different than the way you layer with acrylics. This, I can layer very much like I layer with, like here, I'm just filling in white where I went out of, got messy. I wouldn't really get that to work this well if I were doing watercolor. So I think, at least for me, in my case, I found Inktense to be much easier to start with. But that certainly doesn't mean that's going to be the case for everybody. Okay, we're going to let that dry. Now, another thing with the white, when this dries, it dries very, very opaque. So keep that in mind if you were putting highlights on something. You may put a highlight on it with the, painting it on that way and think, it doesn't hardly show up. Like, why is this so translucent? Let it dry. It'll get really opaque. Let's see. Artist said, I say in my country, we only have Winsor and Newton professional and also Liquitex heavy body professional. I mean, I don't know which would be better. Liquitex heavy body is too thick for the way I paint, unless I'm doing something really impressionistic or like with a palette knife. You have to thin it out a lot with water to get it to work the way I like to work. I can make it work, but it's like, I feel like it's extra steps and more work. So it's possible for you to make that work. Let's see. This just jumped. Oh, Heather Bryant said, you have reminded me that I'm an artist and kicked me in the butt when I needed it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Oh my gosh, you guys are too kind. Like, holy crap. You guys are amazing. And not doing it. Getting all water eye. I feel like such a dork when I do that. Kelly Jackson, thank you for the super chat, Kelly. Said I have been watching you for years. Thank you for everything you do. You're an inspiration and have helped me improve my artwork so much. That is so awesome to hear. And thank you. Okay, let's see. Where were we on this? Mouse Potato said it's a spin-off couch potato. Maybe that's why I like it. I have couch potato dogs. I have 45-mile-per-hour couch potatoes laying on the floor over here. Let's see. If you don't get the reference, greyhounds are considered 45-mile-an-hour couch potatoes because they sleep they're the laziest dogs you will find, but they can run faster than any other dog. So it's kind of funny. Shaz said people are donating because they appreciate your time and help. I would, but my card for US stuff has now been discontinued. Well, I appreciate you even being here. Like, I thank you guys for being here at all. Artist said, what is the best brush? I'm waiting for this to dry, by the way, if you're like, why aren't you painting? I'm waiting. Once this dries, I can go over it with my pinks. Let's see. Artist said, what is the best brush and brand to choose from these Winsor Newton, Princeton, or other. I'm not picking on brushes. I'm not going to tell you that there's a best brush. I'm mostly using generic ones from Hobby Lobby, which if you're not in the US, it sounds like you're not going to work for you. But that's what I use. I am not that picky. What I'm looking for are Taklon bristled brushes for the most part. Most of the brushes I use are Taklon bristled. If you go to my website, go to lachri.com, under supplies, go to acrylics, and I have a photo of the brushes. So I think that photo would help you better than names because I don't really use many brand names. I have a few. No, that's generic. That's so generic it doesn't even have a name. It just says 10. That's how generic half of my brushes are. But go over to my website. I think that'll help you out. Sarah said, the grapes we did the other week gave me some much needed practice using a mop brush. Nice. Crystal said, hi Lisa, love your work. And, I can't read. Just did two colored pencil paintings. The last one I did is a maca using 12 Pro Color and the 12.5. I cannot talk. Faber-Castell stuff. I think autocorrect is just screwing this up like crazy. It makes it hard to read. Sorry. Use my maca photo, not the one you used. Nice. That's cool. Hopefully you posted that in the group. That just jumped. Hold on one second. I really scrolled too far. Daniela said, thanks for the tip. Do you have any videos you'd recommend that will help me figure out what all to get to work with colored pencil, canvas, paper, etc.? I have a supply list on my website, but I need to update it. If you go to my website, it sounds like this is just a plug for my website, lachri.com, under colored pencils, that does give you more information on the supplies, but I've added stuff that I like in addition to that. Like I really love the Derwent Lightcast pencils now. So I don't even think that's on my website yet. So I've got to update it, but all of that stuff would still be pretty accurate on what I use. You might want to change it. I like Arch's hot press watercolor paper better than Fabriano. Both work, but that's a preference there. If you look up just Lachri and colored pencil on YouTube, you're going to see all of the videos and you can see what in the description, it'll tell you which paper, which pencils, which everything I use. So that might help you to like kind of narrow down which ones you're more interested in based on like what the results of that piece were. Let's see. My main medium is watercolor, and Inktense are helping me to adjust to being able to lighten things up like with acrylics. Yeah, I think that's why I like them so much. Phyllis said, how does Chicken like his new house? He's screaming his head off in there and no neighbors to complain. So I think he likes it pretty well. He can be pretty noisy now. Richard said, have you tried the Winsor & Newton colored pencils? I have not. Shaz said, I used alcohol inks, and if you spray with Kmar or whatever, it will seal the inks, then seal with the Krylon archival UV resistant spray. Apparently the inks do not fade. Got this tip from the Facebook group. Interesting. From Ink Facebook group. That's really interesting. Artist said, I remember some artists using a pen that fills with paint to do detail. Do you know what it is called? Seriously, thank you. I'm making you tired. No, you're not. I'm glad for the questions. No, I don't recommend using anything like that. I recommend you learn how to use a liner brush if you're painting. You're going to have more control and you're going to get better results. When you're filling that, I used to try to do the same thing. And I talk about this a lot. Actually, I talk about it all the time in Patreon videos when I'm editing those. I used to look for tools to try to get the best, like there had to be some magic tip or some magic tool to get these fine details. No, what I needed to do is learn how to use a liner brush. This right here. Long, maybe you can see better here, I don't know. But long, thin bristles. This one's a number 1, so this one's really small. Usually I'll go with a number 2, but sometimes a 3. But these long, thin bristles, you need to learn how to use it. And look at a video called how to use a liner brush maybe? Lachri, how to use a liner brush on YouTube. There's a video where I show you exactly how to use it. This is what you want to use. All these little contraptions, they are crutches. Learn to use this. This is going to give you better results when you learn how to use it and more freedom. You have more control of what you're doing. And that doesn't look like it really shows where the bristles are on this, but this is where the bristles start. So they're long and thin. And this one's one of the shorter ones. Let me see, do I have a longer one over here? Most of them, this one's just a bigger brush, but this one's a number 4. But see, again, the bristles start right here, long and thin. This is going to give you, and these ones are synthetic hog hair liners, so they're a little bit more stiff than the Taklon bristle, but either will work. You want to learn how to use this brush. That's the trick if you want to get good at painting. Don't look for these little contraptions that do it for you. Learn to use the brush. Your life will be much easier. Crystal said, hi Lisa, love your work. Just did two. Oh, I read that one. I must have scrolled too far. Wait, is it beneficial to use a weasel? I'm guessing you mean that's supposed to say easel. Easels are good. I would not use a weasel in your work. And also the US hates using animal fur because I once wanted to buy one by the name of Winsor & Newton and we got a message, you're endangering. Huh? Well, that's crazy. Crystal said, I'm sorry, I meant that macaw parent you did, the green one. Oh, yeah. Nice. I like that one. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is use that same pink and I'm going to start slowly building up that pink to fade from the tips of these flowers, and I want to leave the centers as I get down in here. In order to get that really nice glow, I need to leave as much white down at the bottoms as possible. Now here's the thing, because it's Inktense, if I get too crazy, I go back over with white and it'll cover it. So it's not the end of the world if I mess up, but it is, I do want to try to leave the white of the paper showing as much as I can. So to get this to blend, I can use the same brush. Do I have a smaller one now? One that maybe is in better condition? Yeah, this might work. We'll just use this round. I'm going to add water to the petal that I want to work on first. And I'm only going to work on one petal at a time. Now I'm going to take that pink. I'm just going to put it on the tip. Now I'm going to rinse that brush out. Same brush. And I'm going to let that fade down. Let the water work for you to get that nice fade. Now, I would rather see you be too light than too dark. If you go too light, you can easily lighten it or go darker. If you go too dark, it's a lot harder to lighten up. So we'll do that. I want to pull some of this where I'm getting a little crazy there. Just grab a clean brush. Any brush works, and just pull some of that back up. Now I'm going to dry that before it starts to run. And I'm going to repeat that process on all of them. Daniela said, last question, I promise. Oh no, you can ask questions all you want. Are your Patreon colored pencil videos easy to follow for beginners? I am fairly new to your channel, but I notice you don't always finish a piece on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, they will be finished eventually on YouTube, but they're all sped up. Yeah, on Patreon, it's start to finish. If you head over to lachri.com/Patreon-videos, link should be in the description. Actually, I think the link is under the subscribe button there. But if you go there, there's a free colored pencil tutorial you can watch, or it's more of a demonstration, because if you wanted to paint that one, you would need to buy the rights to that reference photo, because it came from wildlifereferencephotos.com. But I'm going to let that dry a little bit more and go ahead and do the next one while I wait. But watch that and see if you think that'll be helpful to you. It's for free. You can watch that now. And get an idea if you think that would be good. Now, one of the things I will tell you, I've heard from people that tell me that the Patreon is too advanced for them. If you want to progress in your art, you need to be working off things that are meant for more advanced artists. If you stick to stuff for beginners, you're going to forever be a beginner. If you want to progress, you want to reach towards doing lessons that seem too hard for you. That's a good thing. We want to be doing things that take us out of that comfort zone. And yeah, maybe if you did something that's more for a beginner, it's super, super basic, your end result will look closer to what the teacher's was. But that's not necessarily helping you to progress. I mean, do a few things for beginners, sure, but don't stick there. Jump into those projects that you looked at. Oops, I need to do water first. That you looked at and thought, wow, that's too hard, that's too advanced. Okay, yeah, but that's what's going to push you to learning and progressing. So things that are too hard, I may tell you something or use a term that doesn't make a ton of sense to you right now. It's okay, because in a month, in a 2 months, 3 months, whatever, as you keep working, it'll start making sense to you once you've experienced that. But I find in practice with students, just jumping into things that feel too hard, you're going to learn more from that than sticking with stuff that you're like, I'm a beginner, so I need beginner lessons. I mean, sure, for a couple of pieces, you're welcome to do that. But really, you're welcome to do whatever you want. It's your art. But if you really want to progress, you need to start jumping into things that are very advanced and feel too hard for you. And like I said, your work may not look, if you're going for something very advanced, your work's probably not going to look as much like the teachers did, but that doesn't mean you're not growing. You're going to grow more from that than that beginner piece that looked just like the teacher's. The teacher's was designed, like even this is designed, I'm doing something that's pretty basic so that the beginners can kind of follow along more with this. Let's see. Monica said, I probably need a brush thingy like you have. Maybe it'd keep the dust out of my brushes. Yeah, these are helpful. These are just little canvases. Dickblick.com has these. They're canvas brush holders. Get the biggest one. You'll want it. They're wonderful. They really keep the brushes, like they do a good job at protecting the brushes. Moody said, for anyone wondering, you can order the Master's Touch brushes online. I'm so glad to know that because now I can start linking that. You didn't used to be able to, so they've updated that. That's awesome. Let's see. Whoops, and that scrolled. Where were we? Mashed Potato said, if you use Speedball art products, sketching project set black, you will get a lot of fine details, just need to reload a lot. Interesting. Artist said, I'm full of questions, but once I watch live, it's gone. The live will be here still. I mean, you're welcome to ask all your questions you want, but the live will keep playing, so you can watch whenever you like. Although I wouldn't, I guess, be answering questions at that point, would I? Oops, that's not the one I was using. That's the one I was using. Casey said, maybe we need to balance out all the compliments that make you tear up with some mean things to cancel them out. Oh no, trust me, I get enough of those. When I go through it, they come through as filtered, but some of the stuff people say, usually it's complaining that I talk too fast. I'm like, I can't, this is just how I talk. Like, can you imagine going up to somebody and being like, you talk too slow, come on, pick it up. No one would say that. No one would do that because it's incredibly rude. But for some reason, and I've dealt with this my whole life, for some reason, people seem to think telling you to slow down is not just as rude. Like, this is just how I talk. My brain works very, very quickly. I'm like 3 conversations ahead of whatever is coming out of my mouth. So this is just how my brain functions. And I've had people try telling me, well, you can do speech therapy. For what? I don't have a speech impediment. There's nothing wrong with my speech. I just speak quickly. So I enunciate. That's the best I can do. But I get a lot of really nasty comments about that. So no, please don't. I get enough of those. Although those don't make me cry. Those just make me go, you're an idiot. And I'll come back through and darken these up again even more, but I'm trying to not go too dark too soon. Keep that smoothed out a bit. Let's see. Johanna said, do you use the blow dryer on heat or cold? Heat, because I don't want to sit here forever. Yeah, Jesse said, rest in peace, headphone user. Sorry. Where are we? Tamara said, I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate my stimulus check besides my art store is closed. Well, I appreciate it. It's L'Oreal said, have you ever used Artzia Expert Acrylic Paint? So I don't trust Artzia, and I don't even say it right. I say it's Arteza, and I always say Artzia, and I'm saying it wrong. But I don't trust them. I don't trust a lot of these like startup companies. Suddenly I have art supplies, even though our company's not necessarily an expert in making art supplies, but we want to make money. So we suddenly have all of these art supplies in the world that are coming out of China, and we're going to claim that they're amazing, but we have they haven't stood the test of time. We'll say that. That maybe they will be amazing. I'm not going to chance my work and my time on that. So I am not comfortable with them, and I very much do not like their marketing. They're shady as hell. I had an issue actually, was it last year? They kept trying to get me to promote their products. And there are people that I talked to, I think I answered once, but they were weird and flaky. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not comfortable with these people. So, and maybe it was just their marketing people, I don't know, but I was just not a good feeling. So then they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. They wouldn't lay off with, you want to work with us? You want to work with us? And it's like, no, I don't want to work with you. So their solution for me not responding anymore or ignoring their continuous bugging me for that was to go to my channel. Somebody asked, I was doing a live stream, and somebody asked what acrylics I like, or what color pencils, some medium, asked what I liked. They came in and started trying to push their products on my viewers through my videos. So they found a way to promote their crap for free. Oh, hell no. That was so unacceptable, and it was very tacky, very classless. Like, let's say I'm working in Derwent here, and Derwent comes onto the video and goes, oh, by the way, here's a tip, or here's another product you might like. That makes sense. I was doing a video using a different product. Someone asked me a very specific question. They derailed that into use our products. I blocked them. I was pissed. That it was just such a bad, like, you have got to be kidding me. I don't trust that company and I don't like their marketing tactics. And once they did that, it was like, I will never use your crap. But I don't trust them anyway, just because any company that's brand new to making art supplies, like Derwent's been around for a while. We know they make good stuff. We know that they test. We know they care about Lightfast. We know what their business, they're trying to make good stuff for artists. They're not just in it. I mean, obviously they're in it to make money. You have to be to have a business. But they also are trying to make things that artists want. That matters to me. And same thing, Faber-Castell, Caran d'Ache, these companies that have been around a while and we know that their products are good. That's what I'm going to use in my work. I want my work to last as long as possible. I want to know what I'm using, and I do not trust these companies, these startup, out of the blue. And then you top that with their crap marketing. No, I have no interest in working with them or their supplies. I don't trust them, and I don't think I will be surprised if they're around for very long. I have a feeling that, I don't know, I just don't trust them. We'll leave it there. I've ranted on that one for a while. Let's see. And I know of artists who are like, no, their supplies are fine, and that's great. If you want to use them, go for it. I've had too many experiences. Now, just the way they handle their business makes me think, if you handle your business this poorly, I don't trust your supplies either. I don't trust anything to do with your company. Not going there. Let's see. Let's see. What SG said, I've gotten so much paint in my mouth holding my brush while blow drying. Hopefully it was non-toxic paint. That scrolled too far. Scrolling back up. Hold on 1 second. Oh, that really scrolled far. Hold on. I'm super far behind on the chat. Let's see. Where were we? Oh my gosh, I am missing so many. Here we go. Artist said, I used some pan pastel on the tree while it's dry and then the tree looks real. Is that right? You can definitely use pan pastel. That's cool. Daniela said, completely agree. You should be a motivational speaker. Thank you. Jason said, as soon as I get a debit card, I'm so connecting to Patreon. Thanks. You know what I think you can do too? Because I've had people who are like, well, I just want to sign up for a few months, buy a gift for a friend. I think you can do, I think someone wanted it for a grandson or something like that. I'm pretty sure you could get a gift card in because those are like credit cards. They work like credit cards. I wonder if Patreon would accept those. I would think they would. They should. If anyone has done that, let me know. I don't actually I can't see anyone's credit card info or personal info other than addresses for the Patreon postcards and emails. So I have no way to know what people are using to sign up. So see how I put that there, and I put water first, so watch how that'll just blend really nice and smooth. Putting that water there first is really important to get that smooth blend. If I have streaks, I want to make sure they're going in the right direction. Who is next? We have Artist said, for a beginner, trust me, there's a channel called Wow Art, the best. Cool. For a beginner, trust me. Carla said, I wanted to say that I started using colored pencils about 3 years ago and it seemed so hard, but I do commissions now. You can do it, y'all. Push through on through. That is so cool to hear. Heather said, it's amazing the difference between my floral art than anything human. I continue to work hard on my humans, but I am way more advanced in floral because I pushed you. That's cool. Boots and diamond painting and art mama, Jill, right? Was it Jill? Said, I take watercolor classes from someone more advanced than me. She pushes us to move and meet to the intermediate advanced class before we feel ready. Good. That's the teacher you want. That's really good. Karen said, talking about jumping in, I recently got accepted at a small gallery in my town. That is so awesome. I am so intimidated and excited. So I watch you and Jason Morgan since I do mostly animals. That is really cool. Congratulations. Troy said, after this pandemic is over, will you still be doing these live videos? Well, I always have done or for years anyway, I've been doing the Wednesday night. So that's going to continue. I don't think I'll continue with Friday because I want to get some edited stuff and it's very hard. Like that's part of right now why I'm like behind on a lot of the Friday ones are definitely hard to do that too. So those ones probably will not continue. I may do them occasionally, but I don't think it'll be an every week thing like it is right now. But Wednesday nights for sure. That's been, what, 5 years now? Maybe longer? We've been doing these ones for quite a while. So these will definitely, I'm not sure if I'll continue just as paint-alongs. What they were before was just whatever I happen to be working on, which sometimes they still will be. But I definitely think doing a few more paint-alongs, it's a way for me to do a few more beginner videos without having to edit them. So I get to be a bit lazy, but still get some beginner stuff up for you guys, or for anyone wanting to get started, just kind of get their feet wet before they jump into the advanced stuff. So definitely as far as like paint-alongs go on Wednesdays, for sure I'll be doing those too. But it depends on what project I'm working on that week, how much time I have. If I should keep working on like when I did the octopus, we did that as part of the live stream because that was a long project. Let's see. If people have trouble understanding you, they definitely would have problems talking to me. I have ADHD and can't stay on topic. Yeah, I have to. So when I edit videos or come up with video ideas, I have to write out at least, I don't write out like a script, but I have to write out talking points so that I will record, like stay in a linear fashion on what the points are. Otherwise, when I edit, I'm having to clip things because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm having to pull this from over here and put it back over. So I have to keep my brain on point because I definitely, jump all over the place. But I try to at least make the edited ones a little easier to follow. Okay, whoops, I forgot to add water to that one first. Let's do that now. If you don't add the water first, it's not going to blend quite as nicely. Did it again. I'm trying to rush through. I'm like, got to get to the pencil section of this. So like trying to throw this in quickly. And I don't recommend rushing through on your work. I'm just trying to so we're not here till 8 in the morning working on the same piece. Now, if we look at the reference photo, this would shift to where I had areas that were more of a reddish tone than the magenta. I'm not going to focus too much on that or worry about that. I'm just worrying about contrast. I'm keeping it pretty simple on this. So I don't know. We'll see how much time we have at the end if I end up glazing a bit more reds in certain areas. But here, we're just going to worry about dark's dark, light's light, using the same, like these two magenta type colors. Oops, making a mess here with that water. I got way too much on that brush. This one had a bit of a shadow here, up to the side. Okay, so that is a good start. Actually, while I'm here, let's grab the yellow for the center. Just kind of little dots in there. And then we've got a few that'll be over here. Okay. So I'm going to dry this. I'm going to repeat this process and darken this up a little bit more in some of these areas, and then we're going to start with the pencils. gonna let that dry for another second. Let's see. Oh, do we need to insert that, or are we good? Whoops, that scrolled. 1 second, let me make sure we don't have anything important that I need to, nope, we are good. Okay. Sarah said, I've had people ask if I'm high in my videos. To a certain extent, I can't help the way I look. Yeah, and that I get that too. I get accused of using drugs a lot, which is funny because I've never used drugs besides what was a prescription after my surgery for a short time, because I'm actually really like paranoid about getting addicted to anything. So yeah, no, I get that too. Jason said, you seem to run over your words going on to the next sentence, so people have to get used to the speed of thought. Yeah, and I've heard that people do get used to it, that they once you've been around me for very long, it starts like your brain just gets used to the way I talk. My family has told me that. Jerry said, when I moved to Illinois from Texas, I was told by people that I talk too slow. I thought that very rude. I'm surprised anyone said anything, because usually I hear people complain when someone speaks too fast. Either way, it's rude. I think both are rude. Like, people talk how they talk. And then I've had people that like sent long things on speech therapy things, and I'm like, I'm fine with, like, I can't stand watching things where people speak slowly. I would not complain to that person. I just don't watch it because my brain is like, come on, move along. Here's the brush I'm looking for. Here we go. So yeah, that's either way. It's just kind of funny. It's like, just because your brain does not work at the same speed as somebody else's, one way or another, whether you think the person talks too slow or too fast, if it doesn't, like, isn't a comfortable pace for you, that doesn't mean that person needs to change. I don't know, it's always irritated me. Not irritated me that much. Obviously not irritated me enough to make any effort to speak slower. I just speak at what's a comfortable speed for me. When I try to speak slowly, when people are like, slow down. When I slow down, I just start falling all over my words. It's like, nah, I will just stop talking to you then. And I can darken some of this up too. Actually, I'm not going to put water on this one. I'm going to let it go this way and then just take water to blend so that it can be a bit more harsh. Yeah, that's going to give me a better look. So this time, instead of getting the whole flower wet, I'm going to go a little bit darker. And this brush has water on it, that one there. A little bit of water anyway. I'm using my magenta colors, and I'm just going to go straight onto the dry paper and then smudge it. And this is going to let it be a little bit darker than what I had before, since I've already got that soft fade. I'm really just going over the areas I want to be darker. Now this one, there's a couple flowers I'm going to pull more of a purplish or a blue tone in. We'll come back to that. Now in here, this is where I'm getting to where I mentioned before. If I was really going by that reference photo exact, I would take the time to start pulling some reds into some of these and not just use the same magenta. But just for the sake of time, I'm only using the same ones and just focusing on the values. Like this one would benefit from some reds. This brush is getting a bit dry, so it's not really blending as well. So we'll go ahead and get that wet again. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Megan said, thank you for taking the time to do these videos. Oh, and it just jumped a whole bunch. Hold on 1 second. Where were we? Hold on. Wow, that really... There we go. Megan said, thank you for taking the time to do these videos and for being so willing to explain everything. I feel like I learned so much when I watch your videos. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I haven't really been putting the time into edited stuff, which I am going to start doing. I got the vlogging setup that I've been wanting for years. I finally saved up for it. And I am working on editing some stuff, but I like these videos too because I can do the whole thing, not have to edit anything. We have the whole real time, start to finish. They're pretty fun. Pull that down. Let's see. Isaiah colored pencils sends colored pencil to people having coloring channels to have them partner with them. Yeah, they've offered to send me stuff too to promote them. And then they do this whole thing, like if you promote them, they give you a code, so it's like an affiliate link thing. Like they really want you to super promote their stuff. And I mean, any company that sends stuff, I mean, Derwent, obviously they send me stuff. They don't ask me or tell me I need to make a video, but they I'm sure are hoping I will if they send me supplies, which I do because I like their stuff. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that, as long as, you know, the creator is honest and that was provided to them. And I don't have a problem with ArtZaya doing that. I just have a problem with my interactions with them. And like I said, I really don't trust new startup art supply companies, not ones that just pop up and start pushing I'm like, did you put more into your marketing than you did your supplies? I'm guessing so. I don't know. But on the flip side, I'm glad for anyone who gets started in art. And if it's cheap ArtZaya stuff, then that's whatever gets you started. I'm happy for that too. So it's not all bad. But with me, because I am a professional, because I do sell my work, I have to be cautious of who I trust. I mean, even like we can go to, what was it? I trusted UArt and I trusted Fisher 400. They said that they're acid free and archival. I didn't think that they meant only the front, not the back, which means it's attached to the front, which means over the years, that could be potentially be a problem. And I'm like, everyone trusted them. And that bugs me when you find out a company just wasn't super honest. So it happens. I mean, they didn't lie. It was archival, or it is archival on the front, but it's like, yeah, but you attached it to something that isn't archival. That's a bit of an issue. Okay, and this one here is going to be a lot darker. Let's see. Artist said, oh, Arteza, I never say it right. That's the company that just gives money to artists, so they will say Arteza is the best everywhere. Now, I don't know if I ever got far enough with them to know what they wanted you to say. Like, if a company, I won't say anything specific. Like, if a company's like, hey, I want you to make I mean, if you do a sponsored promo thing, they do get to tell you to an extent. Like, if it's a paid promo, they can say, hey, we want you to say this and this and this. Well, I don't really do those because you can give me the product or pay me to even make a video on the product, but I get to decide what I say. And I get to be honest. If I don't like it, I'm going to be honest about that, or just not make the video. So I don't know. I've not experienced firsthand what they expect people to say, if they did that or not. Like if they were shady with that. And even that's not shady. If the person's honest, like this is a paid sponsorship, it's not really considered shady. I just don't do those myself. Not much. I guess it depends on what the product would be. And if I agreed what they wanted me to say. If I didn't agree, I won't say it. Okay. Oops. You missed this one altogether. Just smudge that out. Okay. So right now, everything's a little fuzzy, kind of, not super in focus. That's where we come in with the pencil. So let's put this away. We get to start with those now. Now, you can technically do the same painting all with pencils or all with the blocks. I just like working with them together. I think they work beautifully in combination with each other. Where should I put this? I need to reorganize a bit. I've got everything that is going to slide out. Okay, hopefully that doesn't fall all the way behind my easel so I can't get to it. Moody Grown Studio said, will you be doing another acrylic fish painting with Art Chat? Those are some of my favorite live streams. Definitely. We'll get one of those coming up pretty soon then. I love painting fish. You want salt or fresh water? If it's fresh water, we know it's going to be a goldfish. If it's salt water, I don't know. So with my Inktense set, I'm very lucky. And Derwent had sent me, I have the normal ones in the tin, but they sent me, let me dry off. I've got water all over before I ruin the wood box. They sent me the box, which I love. Oh yeah, hold on 1 second. I really do need to get some paper towels. My paper towels are all wet. So this is the wood box that Derwent's pencils come in if you buy the one with the wood thing. So that is what you're going to see here. Really handy. I mean, you don't have to have them, but if you got some extra money and you wanted something pretty fancy, I love this wood box. I have one for my Karen Josh aquarelles too. My watercolor pencils. I really like the wood boxes like these. They're just so pretty. Okay. Let's see. Scrolling. This is probably going to jump, and I apologize if it does. There we go. Jenna Gets Creative said, Arteza likes to advertise to me like crazy, but then when they find out I'm in Canada, they disappear. They won't ship here. That alone seems fishy to me. That is weird. I wonder if it's just like custom. So one of the things I do know, because I have a friend who has a business with art supplies, and one of the things that I know can happen is the companies, like Canada has some really weird regulations on, we want it in French and in English, and we want this and that, and like they have a lot of some extra stuff you have to do for the products there, and I wonder if that has to do with it. I have no idea. Let's see. Nancy says your speech pattern would be considered slow in New York. Take that from a former New Yorker. Shaz said Arteza was sending packs of acrylics to every single acrylic pouring person that had YouTube, then give a 5 to 10% discount if you use their link. I was stunned. They sent it to everyone. Yeah, they're really pushing a lot the marketing side of it, which is, I mean, I can't judge anyone bad for that alone, but it's still, your new company, suddenly you've got all this money putting into the marketing. Did you put any into I don't know. I just don't trust. And I may be wrong. I'm not going to say I'm correct. I could be completely wrong. All I know is they don't leave a good taste in my mouth. Let's see. Shah said, I won't use Arteza as they won't ship to Australia. I use Matisse Acrylics. I've not used those. Sarah Makes Art said, do you normally paint whatever you want and plan your videos around it, or decide what you want to make a video on and plan appropriate project? I usually choose the medium, and then I plan what seems like a good project. Like, I want to work in colored pencil on pastel matte. I haven't done that in a while for Patreon. That's what I'll be working on this week for next week's lesson for you guys. And I want to do a cat. So I have to go find one that will be like good for that, because I know a lot of people liked the cat one that I recently did. But that was an acrylic, so I wanted to do a colored pencil one for you guys too. So that's kind of how I decide. Like, first by medium, because I try to rotate the medium because I do work in so many. And then the second is subject and all of that. Nikayla said, I took your advice on using a mop brush for blending oils, and it's a game changer, but it takes forever to wash out. Any tips? Try to just rinse the tips of the brush that got the oil on it, not the whole thing when you wash it in the paint thinner. Very, very little paint thinner gets on mine. The majority of mine is washed with the soap, because I use the old Masters brush cleaner. That and warm water is the main way that I really clean mine. But no, it takes forever to dry too, and so washing it out doesn't take so long. Letting it dry to where it's ready to use again, that's the one brush I've had problems with, where I didn't let it dry. I thought it was dry all the way, it wasn't. So I used it with oil, and it's almost like that oil trapped what little water was in there. The brush never worked right again. So, be careful of that. Let's get caught up on a few of these before we start with pencils. Brent said, I sent you a link to that Caran d'Ache palette to your Instagram. Thank you. I will check that out. Artist said, why would you put gesso on a canvas? Well, the gessos that I use they already come with, or the canvases that I use already have gesso on it, so I don't put gesso on canvas. But if I need a scratch piece of paper, there we go. Hold on, let me find a blank scratch piece of paper. What was it? God, I got distracted. What was that? No, it seals it, because if a canvas does not have a gesso on it, the paint will kind of soak into the fabric. So you want gesso on it. But if you buy a canvas that already has gesso, you don't need to gesso it. Now, watercolor paper, for people who are like asking if they could paint on watercolor, I said gesso that first. Same thing. The water would just soak in with the acrylics, and they're not going to blend and work the same way that I use acrylics. So a coat of gesso will solve that problem. Let's see. And it makes the paint adhere to it better. Miriam said, have you seen or used the Derwent Inktense watercolor travel palette? And would the small Inktense stick set be the same? It's not the same. I do have it. I think it's in that thing. It's really cool. I did a video using it. I used the old one. I think they have a new one now. But it was so nice. Oh, that is way too purple. I'm just testing the color that I want on a scratch piece of paper. It's too... No, that can be for my dark. But it was really good, like really good. I really liked that set a lot. That was a lot of fun to go, to draw outside with. So, and it's not the same, like it's set up as this cute little, like that's all you need. This one little thing in your paper and you're good to go paint. So I liked that because I didn't want to carry a whole bunch of stuff with me. Now if I use it, it'll just travel in my backyard to paint. Let's see. Can I please do a tutorial on how to use watercolor pencils? I get watercolor, but the pencils look grainy to me. It may depend on the brand and the paper you use, and I do have 2 videos. I need to do one with the Faber-Castell. So what I'm going to do on this is just go around my edges where it needs to be darker. But I do need to do one for my Faber-Castell pencils. I have not done that yet. So that needs to happen sometime in the near future. But I do have some that might help you now. If you just do, that's not the pencil I want. Search for Lachri, and that's also not the pencil I want. There we go. I need to fill in something dark here where I didn't quite get the paint. Clean up these edges. And you can, like with the pencil, it's up to you on if you want to go over it with water. Like that area I just did, I can blend out with a little bit of water, or if you like how it looks just with the pencil, you can leave the pencil alone. You don't have to blend everything with water. It depends on the look you're going for there. Hold on, itch on my eye. Okay. But yeah, the pencil's looking grainy. It may be an issue of pushing too hard. It could be a few different things causing issues for you. I'm not sure without looking at it, but I would guess the paper, and it may just be the pencil themselves. So I'm going to use this too to start pulling down these little lines. Get that detail in the flower. And I'm not going to blend this with water because it would spread in a way I don't want. You can see how you can just get these nice, clean, sharp edges now. And then pulling these lines, make sure they go the right direction. Not pushing very hard where I want them to be nice and light. Johanna said, just tell them to click the slow speed option on the paid YouTube. I like that. It's L'Oreal said, I love your talking speed. Thank you. Let's see. Carlene said, don't apologize for speaking your mind out. Love the way you talk. Actually, it energizes my brain as well. Well, good. Oh, it's going to jump. There it goes. And you can tell it gets a big arrow and it freezes. I'm like, I know it's going to jump bad. Where were we? I apologize if I end up missing somebody's here. Oh my gosh, I'm really behind. Hold on one second. Scrolling up to find where we were. I hate that their chat does this. It makes it very hard to keep up with everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind. Here we go. Daniela said, can you frame a finished colored pencil piece? If not, how do you project? I frame them. Yeah, frame them behind glass. I put them behind a mat and on frame. Gina said, you are using the Inktense blocks like watercolor. Why wouldn't you just use watercolor? What is the advantage of using Inktense? I have both and can never decide. So this, as you saw where I layered the one layer and then I let it dry and put another layer, if I did that with watercolor, some of the watercolor would lift or it would just reactivate and blend in with the color I'm using. Here, I can layer, let's say I wanted to glaze red over it. It's not going to reactivate the green. It's going to literally sit on top of the green. Like it's not mixing together, if that makes sense. So you're getting a different way that you can glaze. So when I work with, while I do layer with watercolor, it reactivates that previous layer in a way that Inktense doesn't. So with Inktense, I kind of layer and blend closer to how I would do with acrylics. So it's just a different way of working. Watch the direction of those lines. These ones curve in a bit here. Just gives this really nice, easy detail. And these lines can be darker up towards the top, but then they need to fade out where they go into the white. Pull that where I went up a little bit higher so that's where that color had bled. We'll just change the shape of that petal a little bit to clean it up. This whole one area should be a bit darker, so we'll fill that in more with a pencil. Watch this one. It really changes direction as you work your way around it. To where now these start curving in this way, so completely different direction. This whole guy can be a lot darker. So I'm going to pull a bit more in here, and I will end up blending some of this with one of the brushes. That whole guy's too light. Same thing in here. I'll just pull that in there a bit. I don't want to work the pencil though. I've got to come back to this one because that's wet now. If I put the pencil on it, I'm going to get some really weird results that aren't cute and we don't want. So we're just going to leave that guy alone until he dries. Come back around here, cleaning up these edges, and these clean edges on this flower are really important. And here again, we're going to switch directions, so watch that. I'm not pushing very hard with this. I'm pushing hard. I take that back. I'm pushing hard on the outer edges, but as I do these lines, I'm keeping a very light hand so that they're not too dark. Let's see. Jason said, I have ADHD and it seems easy to follow your train of thought. I think because I jump around so much. I think, yeah, that makes sense to me. I have a hard time, like when I've gone in and listened to somebody speak, if they don't speak fast, my brain's just like, I'm over here now. I'm not even, like, I can't focus unless you have to keep moving for me, like quickly to keep my attention. And yeah, I can't do, when someone speaks slow, I just wander off, unfortunately. I don't mean to. Let's see. Pat, what is the best way to charge? I have no idea what you're asking. I'm sorry. I'm going to need more information. Sheila said, thank you for this intro to Inktense for me. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. Artist said, next time a list awaits. I don't know what that has to do. I'm not sure. See, the way that the chat works, the chat is like probably 20 minutes behind when you typed it and when I'm reading it. So the conversation, we're like two different parts of the conversation and I lose track. So I apologize. Let's see. I'm so excited because my full set of Derwent Lightfast are due to arrive on Saturday. Yay. I'm excited for you. I just talked to my contact lady at Derwent. Because she wasn't sure if they had sent them or not. So she messaged me earlier to find out if they said the other 28 set. So that is coming soon. Well, I've got to message her back and tell her no, but I will have those soon. I'm really excited because those are definitely on the top of my favorite pencils now. Like those, and my two favorites now are Derwent Lightfast and Faber-Castell Polychromos. Like those two pencils together can do anything I want. I love, well, I still need my Derwent. I still like my Caran d'Ache Luminance. Actually, I like a lot of my Caran d'Ache Luminance, but I find myself reaching more for the Lightfast or the Polychromos. With the exception though, when I did the demonstration on the black paper, then the luminants are going to be more opaque because of them being wax based. So I guess that's not totally true. I do still use those for some things a lot. I think Wade's dreaming. He's making weird sounds. He's laying on his side. Funny dog. This one I should probably come back through with some blue. So again, pushing hard on the edges, but then light on the lines. So I get these nice clean edges. I should sharpen this though. It's getting a little dull. Let's see. Oh, don't jump. I'm going to scroll. Carla's question was next. Oh, it didn't jump. Carla said, and I know that you don't want your students to get crappy products either. You really want what is best for us to learn. Exactly. I don't want to, like, it's not worth it to me to make a few bucks and recommend something that I don't feel like that I would stand behind myself. I'm just not comfortable doing that. So that is a huge, huge deal for me. Basically, if somebody wants me to promote something, if it's not something that I would use, like there have been a few things that I've done promos for, but it's always because I thought it was cool. Like that, what was that watercolor? I have it over, I just cleaned it out. I might have left it in the kitchen. But the water well, the paint puck water well, I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, and I tested that probably a year before I made the video. I should have made the video sooner than that. I was a jerk for that one. But I wanted to make sure that it was as good as what they said. I really thought it was going to start leaking, and it never did. It was a really cool product. But if I don't think it's cool, I don't recommend it. Like, I won't even bother with the video. Like, I have a company that, and they finally stopped contacting me. They kept asking, they wanted me to make a video promoting their bean bags. What? I'm not 12. I don't sit on bean bags. Like, I am too old for that. My back is not going to let me sit on a bean bag. But it's like, if it's not something I use, it's definitely like, yeah, they pay me to do it, but it's a bean bag. Like, I don't even use that. I'm not recommending it to somebody else just to make a few bucks. But I do think that I have a bit of a privilege in the fact that I have Patreon is where I make the majority of my income comes from either Patreon or just YouTube ad revenue. Ow. So that gives me a bit more freedom. I don't depend on ad spots to be able to pay my bills. I mean, when you're an artist, you can't make your videos if you're not being paid. And because I do Patreon, because I've got the lessons there, that does allow me to be pickier. Like, I definitely don't judge another artist badly for taking those paid things. They're just not for me. See how I'm watching the direction that these little lines curve? That's a big deal. Let's give a little shading in the center of that. Little dots in there. Okay, so he also needs a stem. I think that green will that. Let's go with something darker. I'll just use the black to get the hint of the stem in there. And he has a few leaves that are kind of hanging down. We'll just give the hint of that. I'm not going to do any shading or anything like that. We'll just get a few lines in there. Go over that with our water brush. Ooh, that water brush is dirty. What did I use this on? It was like coming out. I may have put ink in that at some point. I think it did, like actual ink in the brush. We'll use this one. I'm not sure what I used that one for. Yeah, Smart Art Box is actually an example of one that I've done the videos for, the paid stuff, because I just think it's such a cool product. I know it's not for everyone. I just think they're really neat though. So that one was worth it to me to do. Now it's up to you if you want to go through and put little lines, soften that out. I want to leave mine pretty harsh, so I'm not going to do that. I will take my white pencil, just clean up anywhere where I want it to be. Make sure it's really bright. Oh, a hand. I wanted to come through with a bit of blue. Where is my light blue? That isn't the pencil sharpener I want. Although I guess it would have worked. So the sharpener I'm using, this is just the Coom metal, like it's just a little metal sharpener. These work out pretty well for me. So I'm just gonna put a little. Don't overdo this. This blue has a tendency when I put blue in here, this one is the peacock blue, but when I put this in, just to get a hint, it like really takes over. I had that happen once in a way I was not happy with. There it is. Losing my stuff. But look at how blue that'll go. And that was just like a couple little, and that's already too much. I mean, it works, but it's like, that's really blue. So watch that when you're gonna blend out. They get really dark. Very vibrant colors. I think I can put that blue in a couple of areas. Let's see. Christine said, It's amazing. It's funny she's painting a water lily. I think she's so inspiring. I recently painted a water lily on my own channel. Thanks. And that's cool that you did that. Artist said some artists agree to say it and they are very popular, so they just like a waste of time to watch them learn wrong stuff. I mean, I guess everyone's different. Like I said, I don't really judge someone for doing it. You as long as you're honest about it, it's fine. But I don't know. I think I'm a bit more prickly about the ArtZaya thing than most are. Like, I really don't trust them, and I really have not, like, I was so unimpressed with my interaction with their marketing people. And maybe their marketing people have nothing to do with art supplies at all. I don't know, but Gibson's head. You can't see this, but it's kind of like elevated the way it's off the side of his bed, and his tongue is just hanging loose in the air. That's funny. If you're new, Gibson's one of my greyhounds. Let's see. Where were we? Monica said, have you painted clown triggerfish? Lots of times. Lots of clown triggers. They're one of my favorites to paint, but I actually did one I think I did it on the live stream, didn't I? That one was before, I think, Aquascello last year when I was getting ready for that. So just a hint, just a little bit. Do not push hard. And see how that blue really stands out once you go to blend, so be careful. This one's got a bit too, just a little. I'm happy to say that to remind myself because it's so, I'm just trying to put a lid on the Inktense because it's so easy. Like I have done this with putting just a blue thinking, no, it's going to give me this tiny highlight. And it's like, whoa, I just made the whole bird blue and it's not supposed to be a blue bird. A little bit up here. Now these blend out better if you don't apply much pressure. If you put much pressure on that brush or the pencil when you apply it and then go to blend, you're gonna be more prone to a grainy, gritty look because it really sticks to the paper. By barely letting it touch, it's less likely to come out having that gritty look. Shaz says, I was going to buy UArt when they finally sold in Australia for my pastels when I heard it wasn't completely archival. I was so happy I didn't buy it. Never will now. Pastel mat and some super expensive one. Yeah, I was surprised to find that out because when a company claims archival, you just assume like everywhere, it's archival everywhere. No, apparently not. Not impressed. Ooh, see, that wasn't dry all the way, and I've got this hot spot that's not going to want to blend out all the way. So I just have to kind of work that into my painting. Let's see, any more blue? Yeah, a little bit on this guy. Little bit. A little bit under this one. Oops, I'm pushing too hard. That makes it harder to blend. Actually, all of these over here have a little bit. And see how just a couple of brush strokes, you don't want to do too much, or pencil strokes, I should say. Too much is going to take over. Oops, see, that one's really dark. And there we go. That's pretty much it. I mean, you can mess with it and fuss over it and make it closer to the reference photo if you want. Actually, I do want to paint a little bit of a darker area on a couple spots. I think that's wet. Okay, I take that back. I'm not done. I'm going to let that dry for a second and then put a few more dark areas like this in just a couple of spots, but it's too wet right now. I'll get caught up on questions while that is setting. Tamara said, lovely set. I can almost smell it when you open that box. Yeah, it's all of these boxes. I want to ask Derwent, like, can I have boxes for your other ones too? But I don't want to come across as, I'm sure they'd send them to me, but I don't want to be greedy because, you know, I hate asking for stuff as it is. Sarah said, I've watched a video where someone was giving advice about contracts in social media. And one thing she said was to avoid anything with exact script. Yeah, that would definitely not make me feel comfortable. Like so much not comfortable that I'd be like, I'm out, not doing it. Crystal said, did Derwent ever send you artist colored send you artist colored pencils. Got them for Christmas and want to know more about them. I've used them. Like I don't even know where I got them. I had some here. They're okay. They're not my preference, but I didn't hate them. Like I really just like Colorsoft. Colorsoft don't work for my techniques, but the artist pencils, they were decent. They're okay. They're not as good as their like Pro Color and Performance or as the Lightfast pencils, but they were usable for sure. Let's see. Gail said, where can I find that information about Fisher 400 and archival? It's one of my favorite papers for pastel. I have a bunch here, but plain mounted on foam core. So if you use a, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them wherever. And I know someone who actually sent it into a lab for third-party testing to check. So, and that's not anything that's like been released or public, but you take one of those acid-free tests where you check to see if like your paper is acid-free. It's a marker and you put it on it, and an acid-free paper will not have a mark, and the more acidic it is, the darker that mark comes out. UArt was far worse than Fisher 400, and from what I was told with the lab testing, Fisher 400 did test better. But yeah, that you can just go get yourself a pen and you write it on the back and you'll see. It's pretty easy. They're like, I don't remember how much I spent. It was under $15. It wasn't very much for that test. The pen, like, it's like a scrapbooking pen to tell if something is acid free or not, whether or not you would use it in your photographs, and it works for testing that. But like I said, I know someone who sent it into a third-party lab and it was what the marker said. Holly said, house cat or wildcat? I have a Bengal and could send you pictures for your Patreons. Oh, do send. I mean, I'm picky about what photo I'll work from, but do send if you've got good shots. It is going to be a house cat because I'm trying to get just a few more because I don't typically paint or draw cats. I'm not a real cat. I mean, cats are cute. I just don't have them. I have dogs that eat cats. So they're not like, it doesn't cross my mind to paint cats that often, but a lot of people really like the one cat that I had done recently. So I figured I'd do a few more for you. Do you think they're cute? Let's see. Artist said, just tell the audience to use Maya's company. They receive American packages, and when they ship it to anywhere you want. Nice. Let's see. Some art. Oh, that is going to jump as soon as it catches up. There it goes. Where were we? 1 second. Scrolling back up. Thanks, YouTube, for the jump. That makes it really hard. Oh my gosh, where were we? Some artists suggest to gesso a gesso canvas, so I bought gesso, never used it. It's full. So the only time that I would use, my computer needs to restart. No, don't restart. The only time that I would gesso a canvas that already has gesso is if, like the Frederick's round canvases, I love them, but they have more tooth than I like. So then in that case, I will put a coat of gesso on it, let it, or 2 or 3 coats, let it dry and take sandpaper and lightly sand it so that I've got that smooth surface, but on the round canvas that I want. But other than that, if the canvas has, like if it's intended for my purposes, so, you know, a smooth canvas, there's no reason to put more gesso. That would be the only time I would put gesso on an already gessoed canvas, or if it's crap gesso. Heather said, Lori Ward stopped by in between patients, said hi to keep up the good work. Aw, hi Lori. Illusionist said, do you stretch your paper before using Inktense? I do recommend it. I don't because I'm lazy, and the tape helps it to mostly hold its shape. Fabriano Artistico, the extra white hot press, 140 pound watercolor paper, I didn't used to need to stretch, and it would always dry flat as long as it was taped. Well, they changed the formula. They said they didn't, but they did because they started printing money on their presses. And when they did that, their formula changed, and anyone who has used their paper before and after will tell you it did change. And so now it really should be stretched first. It doesn't hold up to water media as well. So yes, I would recommend it. I didn't, but I do recommend it. Let's see. Sarah said, have you ever come across some random person on Pixabay that's so beautiful, interesting that you just want to paint them over and over? No, but I haven't looked for portraits on Pixabay, so maybe that's why. I more look for animals and like flowers and stuff like that when I'm on there. I haven't really looked for people. Illusionist said, have you ever gone through your supplies and found something that you didn't even know you had? Still found a full set of museum aquarelle pencils. Yes, I have. Where, well, occasionally companies like Derwent or Faber-Castell, sometimes they'll send me pencils. Derwent was a big one. I forgot that I had the Graphitents, and they had sent me the Graphitent, the blocks that are like Graphitent blocks, but they're called something else. I forget off the top of my head right now. The extra large something or another. And they're wonderful, and I didn't even know I had them. So yeah, I've had that happen. I was pretty excited when I found them. PZ Cherokee said, can we see the mural work you've done in your studio? I need to get a video or a photo of that for sure. There's not really a good way for me to, I don't think you can, hold on. Let's see if I pull this up and turn the camera. I don't think you can really see. No, everything's in the way. It's not so much a mural as I painted the wall gray, a dark gray and a teal, and made it kind of fade up to the top and then put a few branches there. It's not like, there's no shading, well, besides the background color, but like the branches and the leaves, they're just, it's almost like if I had taken a stamp, if I had a stamp that would have worked, which I didn't, but it's not that fancy. I just needed something that wasn't a white wall. It wasn't photographing well before I did that. Tamara said, your photos of Wade are superb. Are you gearing up for a portrait? Well, no, I'll take more photos. He's shedding. He came with a coat that's really dense, like, I don't know, golden retriever puppy fur, but more dense, an undercoat that greyhounds shouldn't have. So he must have been kept in an area out. I'm guessing they kept their dogs outdoor at whoever the breeder he came from. Not impressed, I will say that. But anyway, I love him. Just not impressed that they would have the dogs in a situation where they would be cold enough to develop a greyhound developing in an undercoat that dense. I'd never seen it before. But he needs to finish shedding before he gets his portrait done. He's kind of a mess right now. So the photos that you're talking about, that you saw, the reason that I posted those is that they're for a video that I'm working on showing you guys how to get good photos, like what angle I take photos of the dogs, and how, like, a few tips I have when you're taking photos of dogs. So like if you're a pet portrait artist and you go to take photos of somebody else's dogs, you can see how, like, get some tips on how I get the best photos. Also, if you have a pet portrait, like a client who needs to take the photos if they're ordering from another state and you can't go take the photos yourself, sometimes it helps if you can have, like, hopefully that you could send them this video and say, look, this is how I need you to, like, this is the angle you want to take the photo, because people just don't get it. And you always get the dogs on the floor and they take the photo looking down and it's terrible. So that's the video I'm working on right now. I shot all of that today. So that is why I took his photos. Gypsy Heart said, thank you for doing more Inktense. I recently did the clownfish with a galaxy background. Your tips helped me a lot, but I still have lots to learn. That's cool. Actually, I saw that painting, didn't I? I think I saw that and loved it. Shaz said, that's looking stunning. By the way, my hubby loves your puppies. Thanks. I love my puppies too. Tamara said, so appropriate to be painting a lotus. I've rekindled my practice in meditation recently, and this really speaks to me. Nice. Yeah, as Nick says, if you can hit the like button, it helps me a lot to help more people. YouTube, there's different theories on how well that works, but YouTube, the more like interaction, the comments, the likes, all of that helps YouTube to go, oh, people are actually watching or enjoying this. Maybe we should share it with more people. So it really helps me out if you can hit that like button. Let's see. And we'll get back to painting in just a moment. I'm just trying to get caught up with some of the questions, and I think we're about there. Miriam said, have you painted an anglerfish? I have not, but I don't know how to get a good photo of one. That's the problem, is getting a good reference photo. I'd have to do something very surreal because I don't have a photo that I'd have rights to use. Deb says, it looks amazing. Thank you. Oh, hold on. Let's get caught up here. And that just jumped. Sheila said, lovely painting, love the medium. Thanks, thank you. Sebastian said, what is that color thing behind you? Could you show us that, please? Is it the painting? It's might be, and there's not really a good way for me to get that over here for you because it's kind of big, and it's on Instagram. It's the bee that I did on Instagram, I think is what you're seeing. But so if you go, the Instagram should be linked in the description. You just scroll down a bit for my profile thing, my account profile thing. God, how old do I sound? You know, the Instagram thingy. But if you go over there, it's the bee with the rainbow kind of background. Let's see. Melissa said, this is so amazing. Feels like I could touch it. It's so realistic. Thank you. And here's the thing. It's just because you leave the the light's light, the dark's dark, clean up your edges. It's very easy to do that. If you're struggling to get your work to look more realistic, contrast. Get that contrast in there. That will make all the difference in the world. Artist said, what watercolor surface are you using? I am using Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140 pound watercolor paper. Let's see. Instead of stretching watercolor paper, try wetting the back and then putting it on a non-porous surface. The water helps keep the paper flat when you work on the front. That is a great tip. And absolutely true. Artist said, I meant on a message that MYUS received a red sable brush that said you are endangering the endangered. Huh. Weird. Okay. So this should be dry enough. I can hopefully get the darks to stand out a bit more. I'm going to go darker. Ooh. Is that nightshade? Nope, that's a deep violet. Oh yeah, that's going to give me the darker look that I'm looking for. Just in a few areas. Not going to go crazy with it. Actually, we'll switch back to the not as dark one. And I am pushing pretty hard on this. I'm not going to blend it out. I think that's really about it. It was just a couple of spots I wanted to get the darker areas. And I don't want to just outline everything because I don't want it to look like it's just outlined with dark, but just a few there. And there we go. Actually, I think this guy could use a little bit of blue. Just a little. Almost done. Where did the blue go? This one should be a little bit darker. A little bit up here. Dark comes down a bit more. There we go. Now it is done. And so then when I sign this one, I typically will use the white. So the Inktense pencils, the yellows are opaque, but most like the pinks and all of those are fairly dark. So when I sign it, I'm just going to go ahead and use a white. That didn't stick. There we go. And that is it. So that is it for the painting. Let's get caught up on some of these questions. Gypsy Heart said, I tagged you in the clownfish with the galaxy background photo I shared. I think you probably saw it. Yeah, that I did. I remember. Okay, so it is the same one, and it's amazing. Monica said, I really enjoy using my watercolor pencils for touch-ups on watercolor paintings. Yeah, I am a huge fan of the watercolor pencils for sure. That's kind of what got me started to where I realized, hey, maybe I should get some watercolor pans, which I haven't ordered yet, or just your more traditional watercolors, because I have been enjoying the pencils a lot. And let's see. Would Inktense work to try to paint an orca? Can you do a tutorial on that? Absolutely. Oh no, I used it on graphite. Actually, I did a terrible job on that one too. I wasn't real thrilled with what I did, and that was a me thing. I rushed that project. It's okay. It just wasn't super impressed. I did orcas. Actually, I did a demonstration. So a few years back, Derwent had me go there was an art convention, and they had me come sit at their booth and demonstrate Inktense, and I did an underwater scene with orcas, and it came out. I really liked how that one came out. I think the photos might be on Instagram from you'd have to go back years though, so it'd be quite a way far back, but I don't have a video on that. They would work really well for that. And the cool thing was, it's fast. Like I had this whole scene with coral and the orcas, and I mean, within 6 hours, I was pretty much done. Like I had to slow down because I was painting it too quickly. So it was very fast. So yes, I will do that. What brand of watercolor pencils do you think are best? That one's hard. So the ones that I've used are the Derwent. I used them first, and I really loved like the color saturation. I love the blending. I was a big fan of the Derwent pencils. They're not as light fast as some of the other brands. Then there was the Caran d'Ache. Now Caran d'Ache makes the claim that they're like your traditional watercolor, very translucent. I don't know why they claimed that, because I didn't read that claim until after I used it. So I went in with like an open mind. And the thing that I liked about Caran d'Ache was that they were more opaque. They were more, to me, like gouache, so, which is an opaque watercolor. And then I read that and I was like, you're claiming they're more translucent? Like, wait, no, more than what? Because they definitely felt to me to be the more opaque of the 3 watercolor brands that I've used. Sorry, AGI. They were more opaque than the other ones that I had used. So I thought it was odd that they were claiming that they were more, or like the advertisement or whatever said how they're very like traditional watercolor. I'm like, I don't know what traditional watercolor you use. Traditional gouache, yes. But I loved them. I did absolutely love the results I got with them. I did have a hard time getting my purple dark enough. There were a couple of weird things with that, but overall, beautiful pencils. Then now I've got the Faber-Castell Aquarelles, or their watercolor pencils, and those are really nice too. Those ones to me feel more like the Derwent, in that they have that traditional watercolor feel, very thin. I think any one of those sets you're going to be happy with. Now again, the Derwent ones are not as light fast. They are the least expensive of the bunch, but they're not as light fast as the Faber-Castell or the Caran d'Ache. So it depends on what your goals are. If you're doing it like with me with the watercolor ones, I don't really feel comfortable when I do paint with water on stuff, where there's some question as to how well it maintains its light fast ratings. I don't know. I have to look more into all of that. So I haven't sold anything with the watercolor, but I can make prints, and they print beautiful. They, like the Inktense, they dry flat. So all of those just photographed so beautifully. I loved all of them. So the light fast to me wasn't a big deal in that sense. Not yet. Maybe it will be eventually, but right now, because I'm not selling the watercolor pencil stuff, they were any one of those 3 I think you would be happy with. And again, keep light fast ratings in mind. Let's see. Is the nylon liner brush, does it work the same as a hog hair one? It's going to be floppier, if that makes, like, it'll bend. This one holds its shape a bit better, but the nylon one, I'm guessing that's going to be similar to your Taklon bristle, so it'll be softer, but it should work fine for you. The same, no. Good, yes. Whoop, that's rolled too fast. There we go. Daniela said, I feel like finding your channel is opening up my art world. Looking forward to learning more. Nice. Sydney said, what tape are you using? Does paint bleed through the tape? It might. Here, I'll show you when I pull off. So the tape I'm using, this one is it's Pro Artist tape. It's a masking tape that is acid free. So it's going, the work is still archival where I've used this. So we'll pull it away. Now, when you pull off masking tape, let me slide this over to make sure you guys can see well. Hold on one second. When you remove the tape, if it comes off easily, like mine's coming off easy, I don't need to heat it. If it sticks and it's not coming off, don't rip the paper. Take your hairdryer and heat it, and then while it's hot, pull. It'll loosen up that adhesive or kind of melt it. It'll allow you to pull it away. But for me, I'm just going to pull away, always away. Never pull towards your work. That's how you will rip and screw things up. So pulling away slowly, and you can see it bleeds through a little bit. But always go slow. It may be tempting for you to think, oh, it's coming off fine, rip, and then it's not. That's not good. You don't want to do that. So that gives you can see there the results I have there. And this doesn't look, it looks a little foggy. Hold on. Let me change the settings just so it looks as accurate as possible. It's the light. The light really washes it out. So, that's probably a little bit closer. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's pretty close to what I'm seeing. Okay. Sydney said, okay, we got that one. Oops, that scrolled too far. Shaz said, that looks stunning. Thank you. When you try traditional watercolor, remember there's always white gouache to get the lights back. Yeah, and I will probably have to cheat and depend on that. I know like very traditional watercolorists aren't cool with using the white like that, but my brain is like, my brain comes from that place of acrylics where we layer in a different way. And so, yeah, I think I'm definitely going to have to do that and depend on that. Starving Artist Collective said, great live stream again. Love this one. Have Inktense, but haven't used them enough. So great demo for me. Cool. Did you paint with us tonight? Or are you going to paint later? Let's see. Okay. So we are good. We're all done. It is 10:08. I'm going to go and move my back and walk my dogs that are passed out on the floor, if I can get them out of their beds. I will see you guys on Friday at 1 p.m., assuming the supplies came. I did order the Quidonkadonk red that I can never say right, but that's supposed to be here tomorrow. If it does come, then we're going to be doing a lesson talking about primary colors, and I'll be blending with the primary colors an orange and a violet colored tulip. I'm on this tulip kick or flower kick again lately. The reason I keep doing flowers is it's something I can finish in 2 hours. So whereas like a full animal, obviously I'm not going to be able to do that. Well, a bird, some birds I can. But anyway, that's why we've been doing a lot of flowers. Although I guess we'll be doing some fish coming up here soon. So if that is the plan, that's what we'll be doing. 1 p.m. Central Time on Friday is the plan. If those don't come for any reason or they don't work out or whatever when I test them, then we'll still be here Friday at 1 p.m. We'll just do a different acrylic painting project. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you to our moderators. I can't talk to Nick, Edgar, and Joseph Finchams. I'm just making up names now. They both have links to, God, I'm tired. Links down in the video description. They've got art channels here. Make sure to check them out. Tell them thank you. They help so much. Could not do this without them. And I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.